I am so excited to be here today on Teen Talk Live, coming to you with Ms. Tineka Kerby from Utah. And Tineka is a life coach and transformational speaker, and also an author. I'm so glad you're here with me today, Tineka. Could you tell me just a little bit about you and how you use your talents to serve the world?
Of course. Hi, Anne, and thank you for having me on today. I'm super excited, and I'm so glad that we share a passion that we can reach out and help so many people. So I am an author and a life coach, and I love what I do as a speaker as well. I really like to work with families to really educate them on how to overcome some of the hard stuff that happens and kind of help them figure out what's going on, right? So we don't always know. We can see the side effects and some of the behaviors that are off. We don't always know like what to do with them or what the root problem is. So one of my favorite things that I do that I'm most passionate about is digging into some of the traumatic events that have happened and how to overcome them, and really like putting these families in a place where they can implement strategies that help them. So that's one of the things that I really like to do. I also like to really inspire people, and that's kind of the root of my book. So
Oh,
inspiration.
wonderful. Wonderful. And the topic for today, we are talking about surviving childhood trauma. And I'm just so glad that you are willing to delve into that and to explore that with me, because there, as a trauma survivor myself, I know that there's so many different things that happen, and it's not necessary that people are aware of what's going on, and sometimes, like you stated, there are behaviors that show up and you don't even know where they come from or what's
Right.
happening, right? And so
Yeah.
this is a timely conversation to have about some of the childhood traumas that we see manifesting in our teenagers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So a little bit about why we're doing this theme today is because of my own personal history. And so I'll just give you a quick brief of that. Is when I was 3, I was severely sexually assaulted. In fact, that's the very first memory I have at all in my life. And that was really hard. And it trickles down. There's a lot of effects on my behavior are that were there until I did the healing I needed to do. But I was also assaulted 2 more times by the time I was 12. I was raised in a single mom welfare home with domestic violence, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, etc. So that, I mean, there were a lot of different impacts. But since we're focusing on the sexual assault today, what I think it would help parents and the teens themselves to know is that promiscuity coming in at a young age is definitely, it's not always linked to, but if there was that, there's going to be a higher susceptibility for the teen to become more sexually active younger.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just saying, right. That's so
Yeah, yeah.
true.
And then so like some of the things that I think caused that within me because of the abuse young, which like I said, it comes from other things as well, was I was seeking attention any way I could get it. And of course, as a teen girl, and guys having their hormones raging, the fastest and easiest way to have that attention need met was through being promiscuous. Any guy that has a girl that's willing to give them that kind of attention, the guy will give the attention right back. So
So
I
let
think,
me just pause just a little bit so
sure.
that we can grasp this. You're saying that at 36 months old, you were just on the earth for 36 months before you were sexually assaulted.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm like, your brain is, I mean, you're just trying to figure out all kinds of things at 36 months.
Right, right.
That is significant trauma.
It was in fact, and this isn't something I really share with a whole lot of people, but it's something I'm trying to bring more awareness to. Is it was so the trauma, the pain in the trauma in the situation was so severe that I actually mentally and emotionally blocked out feeling for 23 years of my life.
Right.
Because of the once your pain reaches a certain threshold, your mind and body go into a different state. And so I'm really thankful that my mind and body did that at that time, because there were a lot of other hard things I had to live through, but I couldn't feel things that it really carried out kind of a lot of sad things for me. So when my babies were born, which because of my childhood, I was a teen mom. I had 3 kids by the time I was 20. But I didn't get to feel the joy of having, these precious bundles of joy. Like most people get to feel this overwhelming sense of excitement and joy. And I didn't get to feel that like most people did because of the trauma from when I was a child.
Wow.
And I didn't get to feel, the devastation of divorce, and I didn't get to feel the excitement of marriage. So it was really devastating. And again, I've looked at that differently, and I've changed the story. I'm really grateful for it, because there were a lot of things that happened after that 3-year-old experience where I don't know if I could have continued feeling that I would have made it through those things, because they were really hard, because there was more sexual abuse. There was, more watching my mom snort coke off of a table or fall in drunk or whatever the situations were.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I'm so fascinated by the brain, and I don't profess to know a whole lot about how the brain operates, but I know that trauma at that age shuts down parts of your brain that
It does.
Which you're saying that actually protects you. Isn't it amazing how the body will operate and bring out things in a way that actually protects you?
Absolutely. It's really astonishing. And you can look at almost anything and it still does that. And, as much of a benefit as it can be, it can also be a hindrance sometimes.
Right.
Because, then later in life, I'm behaving in ways that I don't even understand. Mm-hmm. And I can't quite grasp the concept. People would ask me like, why aren't you devastated? And well, I couldn't feel it, right? So there was the ebb and the flow with it. But yeah, it's beautiful what our brains and our bodies are capable of doing to protect us.
Right. I'm really just going to take a second, Tineka, just to acknowledge our guests who have joined us. Thank you for joining, Lanisha and Delana. Thank you for being here. Val, I'm so glad you joined us. And Derwin and John and Thurl and Kayla and Callie, thank you all for joining us. This is a really interesting topic. We're talking about, surviving and thriving after going through significant trauma and sexual trauma at such a young age. And today on Teen Talk Live, we are talking to Tineka Kerby from Utah. And she is sharing her very intimate stories with us so that we can help to transform the lives and minds of teenagers and those who serve them. So thank you all so much for joining us, and please like and share this video so that we can help bring awareness and spread it and spread this awareness. So do me a favor and share this video, even if you're on the repost. Just take a second and share the video so that this can benefit so many other people. And so one of the things that happens in my community is I believe that there is a huge disconnect between generations, right?
Yeah,
and so so what I'll see people who will say, look at teenagers and how they dress and how they behave, right? And they'll say, mm-hmm. Oh, she's so fast, and oh, she's so grown, and things like that, and not necessarily understand that their behavior is just a result of different circumstances.
That's really, that's true. And I want to talk about that, but I want to go back and I want to touch on something you said. Surviving and thriving. Okay.
Yes.
which, you know, I love that you said it and in that way. So a lot of people who have went through sexual trauma or any other circumstance, they all of a sudden carry this victim label. And that victim label can be far more damaging than beneficial. And so I have changed this a little bit, and I hope that it's adopted worldwide. When you survive events like that, you're not just a survivor, you're a warrior. And I want you to embrace that. You're not a survivor, you're a warrior, because you're more than your circumstances, and you can always be more than your circumstances. And so I just wanted to touch on that really quick. But yes, the behaviors that come after, when you see these young girls and boys that seem so mature and so grown up, it's usually something that has literally forced them into that, or they're trying to grow up faster because their surroundings just don't sync with who they are, who they're trying to be. And you know, sometimes it was their childhood, like in my situation, was robbed from me, I feel like. So some of my behaviors, like I said, the attention thing, I saw attention. I was always wanting to be around older people, especially older men. I dated much older men because, and it's actually not from trauma from my childhood, but from abandonment.
Wow.
And I saw a father in men for many years. And I remember, and this is a little older than teenage years, but if you have a teen, you know, nip this in the butt now, is when I was 22 years old, I was dating a man who was 44 years old. I was confused. I didn't know whether I wanted a significant other or a father. And it took me years and years of this repetitive behavior to come to the conclusion, what I really needed was a father. That's something I'm not ever going to have. But that was what I was trying to fill a void with. So these young girls who are sinking, you know, from these much older men, you know, they're missing that father role. And I would encourage you, as if you're, you know, if you're a single mother watching this, I would encourage you to find a man to fill that role, to be a mentor, to somehow, you know, try and fill that, because that's what the girl really needs. She needs somebody that can tell her, you know, don't accept this from a man, or to really be there and be that father role model. And you know, it could be, you know, the uncle, it could be the preacher, the bishop, it could be anybody. I mean, you know, I would give anything to go back and have had my mom put somebody that was a leading male role model, that was a positive role model in my life, so that I didn't seek that in relationships, because that was really devastating for me.
Wow. I get goosebumps just listening to it. And the thing about it is, you know, we use the phrase a lot, it takes a village, but we have to be careful about choosing our villagers.
We do. Yeah.
We can't just let our kids loose and around people who we think are a part of the village. Because,
you know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, because, you know, the reality is a lot of these events happen inside the village.
Yeah, you know, I want to touch back to my event when I was 3, and I actually did a really foul languaged video that went viral on this, because parents don't listen to their kids as much as they need to, I think. And so my mom, the first time that I was assaulted when I was 3, she did listen to me. But 2 more times that it happened by the time I was 12, she did not listen to me. The one kid never got any repercussions for what had happened. And the other time I had went to a girlfriend's aunt, and she's the one that took it to authorities. So I did it was a very passionate rant, and that's why it was full of foul language on this. And the thing that I want to go back to is, when I was 3, this man that assaulted me was actually babysitting me. Wow. And my mom, he had actually also assaulted my mom when she was little. So he was actually a cousin in our family. And so, yeah, and I did this, like I said, this video about, you know, be really careful. Like, who are your kids around? Yeah. And are they are they really safe to be around? I've had a lot of coaching clients come to me and say, you know, it was my uncle, it was my aunt, it was my stepdad, it was, you know, and they're really close people, or, you know, maybe it was the bishop or the priest. They're people that are in these authoritative positions. And I think that, you know, often kids are afraid.
Okay, I'm not sure what's happening on our video is freezing. So until we get back to Tineka, I'm just going to welcome our guests who are here. Lawrence, welcome. Mary, welcome. I'm so excited that you are joining us. Feel free to comment, and be sure to also share this this live, because we need to be having these conversations with the people in our lives. We need to be having this conversation to protect our kids. We need to be a little more cognizant of what's happening in our homes and in our communities, in the places where we worship, in the places where we serve, because our kids are hurting and then have no place to go. I'm so glad you're back. And I just took the time to continue to share with our audience and welcome my new guests that, you know, we need to pay attention. This is very critical information, and we need to pay attention. And also, wow. I'm saying wow because one of our listeners is sharing privately with me that she was sexually assaulted by abused by her father, and
that woman.
And so, I mean, it's just giving me chills because I know this person personally, and you know, I wish that wow is all I can say.
First of all, I mean, give her a hand for sharing, because it takes courage. Yeah. Something I wanted to touch on that I learned much later in my life was there are it is proven, statistically proven, that if children can identify their body parts and they're comfortable with it, they'll actually tell more often. And if they don't feel ashamed. So I think it's really important to educate parents, especially of little ones, to let their kids know, like teach them their anatomy, and make sure they know that, you know, it's not okay for people to touch them, you know, and unless it's the right circumstances, like you're at a doctor's office for this specifically or that. And I think really bringing education and awareness is what's going to be more preventative than anything, and being really aware and alert of who they're around. And listening to them. Like I said, communication is so important. I had a lot of things happen within my family and relationship with my mom. And my mom and I don't speak today. And I'll tell you, it is heartbreaking. We don't speak. I felt so betrayed when I told her, Mom, this man did this terrible thing to me, and she did nothing about it.
Wow.
And I was 12 years old. And she did nothing about it. And so that was I felt so betrayed by the person that was supposed to protect me.
Right.
And of course, I have since forgiven her. And anybody that has been a victim to this, I highly encourage you to forgive whoever has assaulted you, or encourage your children to forgive whoever's assaulted them if they've dealt with it. And this could be like domestic violence, verbal abuse, any kind of abuse whatsoever. Forgive, and who you forgive for is really for yourself. I explain it like this. If you were to think of your favorite bird, mine's a hummingbird, and you were to tie a chain around its leg and a bag of all the people you haven't forgiven.
Wow.
How sad, right? That bird cannot fly. That's so sad.
Right.
And so you are that bird, and you are letting these people that you haven't forgiven weigh you down, and you really have to let go. You have to.
Okay, so I'm gonna just pause for a second because I understand the whole forgiveness piece. I preach forgiveness, so I understand the whole forgiveness piece, but it just seems like there is so much that has to come before that forgiveness piece.
There definitely is. There is working through those emotions and trying to understand. And I think in forgiving, you really have to come to an understanding, and understanding that, it's not necessarily a reflection of you, or that it's not your fault. And that can be one of the most difficult things to understand, because we automatically, we look inward. Why did I deserve this? What did I do to get this, right?
Exactly.
And so, and I did, after being sexually assaulted 3 times, I'm like, why do I keep getting assaulted? My siblings weren't being assaulted, but I was. And I think part of that was because I wore the victim label, because that's how I portrayed myself. I was a victim. So what happened? I got more victimized. But really, and it wasn't until this year that I came to the greatest understanding I've had yet, was that it was the person doing the assaulting that it really reflected on. They were trying to get something or gain something they needed. Maybe it was a sense of power so that they could feel happy, right? So they're trying to meet one of their 6 human needs, and in an ineffective way. So I'm not condoning their behavior in any way. I'm just saying they used an ineffective method of trying to obtain one of their needs.
Well, I mean, more than ineffective, it's cruel. It's downright cruel.
Absolutely. No, yeah, we could go clear into that. I've done so much forgiving that I'm sorry, it's hard for me to come back to, yes, it's completely cruel. It's completely corrupt. It's so wrong on so many levels.
Right.
And that's why I don't condone the behavior in any way.
I believe you. And I'm thinking about that person who's watching and who hasn't even had the courage to share with her mother or her father or her caregiver. You see what I'm saying? And I'm like, the thought of even forgiving. Yes, we want to share our strength and hope. And I know they're probably furthest from the thought of forgiving, because they're still trying to figure out, how do I, deal with this right now?
Of course. So what I would say to any of those girls out there is,
or boys,
or boys, yeah, anybody, even adults. I've had some adults come for coaching that all of a sudden I'm digging in, and their root is something they've never told anybody. And I will tell you, the moment that you do find that courage within you to tell and to share your story, you will have a weight lifted off of you. And I know that you're probably feeling so I definitely am. I want you to know that you're not going, you probably have a little bit of fear to open your mouth. Why? Because you're afraid of how somebody might look at you or how you may be judged. But I will tell you right now, when somebody brings something like this to the table and they open their mouth and they share their story, you will 99% of the time be met with compassion and somebody that wants to help, and that can help, and that will help you heal also. And so the longer you keep that inside and the longer you keep that hidden within you, the longer you're going to have to carry those burdens. You might as well find the courage within you now to find someone you can share it with. Like I said, eliminate the fear. You'll be met with compassion, I promise you.
And I think that's a really, really good point, Tineka. I think it's good. And I'm thinking about all the programs that I've started and worked with and everything like that. And I, if I were to grab a picture of one of my girls and put that in my mind and think about it, and I would think, okay, what are some of the fears that she might have in even sharing this information? And, there is the fear of, if I tell somebody, let's say it was her father, and she said, if I tell somebody, then he's the primary breadwinner in the house, and so my family might be broken apart. We might have to go through extreme poverty, and it just, it's such a responsibility that I believe the victim or the person who's experiencing this faces.
And you're right. You're right on so many levels. I lost a best friend because of this. And it was the one that I went to her aunt. And so anybody that was watching previously got to see this, but it was her uncle who had sexually assaulted me when I was 12. And I went to the authorities with her aunt, actually. And I lost her over that because he did serve time. And so I lost my best friend. I mean, her and I were playing from sunup to sundown every day. And of course, and then because they were also my neighbors, there was a lot of tension. There still is some tension. And that was a fear I had. And there was also the fear that I wouldn't be believed.
Right.
And that was really hard. And I encourage anybody out there watching to just speak up and know that it is your story. And if it's true and honest and within you, share it. Even if they don't believe you, it doesn't matter because you shared it. There will be somebody that will meet you with compassion, that will believe you, and that can help facilitate, you growing and healing.
Right. And I would also say, share it till you find somebody to believe you.
Yeah, share it with me. Come to me. Come to Anne. Either one of us would be great for that. You can find me on Facebook, as Anne has said. I'm on all other platforms. I donate a lot of my time. I'm really here just to help heal people. I really want to see everyone that I know and work with overcome these hard things that has taken me a lifetime to get through, and a lot more heartache than I care to mention from not learning the lessons sooner. So if I can help you learn them sooner, let's do it.
Right. And so let's say somebody is at the point where they're like, okay, I listened to this Teen Talk Live and I have the courage now to go tell my story, to share. I'm tired of this weight. I want to be set free like this bird. And so I want you to talk to the person who is going to be the one that hears this story, because their response will make the world of difference in this person's life.
Definitely. So to anybody that has somebody come to them with this story, I would say the most important thing is to meet them with compassion, to try and understand that they are in a very vulnerable and fragile state, and that they need more support than anything. They need to be heard. They need to be understood to the greatest level that you can understand them. I definitely would encourage you to remind them of their value, and that this event hasn't taken from their value at all. That unfortunately, bad things happen to good people. I would encourage you to, like I said, just open arms, a lot of support, a lot of compassion, and really just remind them of their value, and start helping find them resources and strategies that can help them heal and overcome it, and remind them, that it's not them, that it's not their fault. They're not the ones to blame. I think that's really important.
Right. And I think it's also important when this has been disclosed to you, to not go into the victim state where, you're like, oh my gosh, it's natural to think, what could I have done? How come I miss it? Because even in hearing, this personal disclosure that just came over, my mind went to, oh my gosh, how come I missed that? And that takes away from the person's story, because my job right now is to be here and to say, oh my goodness, I am so sorry that happened to you.
Right.
So I wish I was more aware.
That would be another thing I would say is like I said, meet them with compassion. Mm-hmm. Definitely keep your composure and remain calm. Even if you're freaking out inside, don't let the teen or the child or whoever it is see that. You really have to react calm to continue the situation in a calm manner, because that's going to be best for them. People can't heal in fight or flight mode. So if they get those they're already coming to you a little bit worked up. In order to keep it calm, you need to remain calm. Even if you get excited, like you did, Anne, when you had that message come through, like, wow, right?
Right.
yeah, it is hard. But what I want to say, one thing is validation. It's so big. If you have somebody coming to you, definitely give validation. Give validation for what they're feeling. Even if it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't matter. Give whoever it is coming to you with this information validation. Validate what they're feeling, why they're feeling what they're feeling. Listen to them, hear them out. They don't always want advice in that moment. Maybe they just want to be heard and understood and validated.
Absolutely. And if you don't have any answers, find somebody who might.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like I said, in resource. Who would be best? I was just with our city chief of police this morning, and he says, I wish I would have known you've been doing this for so long, because I've had multiple, girls come in for poor behavior, and they would tell me their story that they've been abused, and had I known you were somebody who had been there and been through it, I would have grabbed you. I would have came and got you. I'd have called you into the office at midnight or at 2:00 in the morning to help this girl, because I had no relatability. And
Right.
so what people who have been assaulted in any manner, but in sexual abuse, since that's the subject we're on, they need somebody that is equal to them, that is relatable, that has been through it, that has been, assaulted too, so that they can feel that commonality, so that they can feel comfortable in speaking to them. Because one of the worst things is to go and try to explain your story to somebody who absolutely just can't understand. They just don't get it.
Yeah. And they, in that moment, could say the wrong thing that sends you back into silence.
Right. And we don't want that. We don't want that. So here's something for victims out there. If you have opened up and you got shut down and re-silenced, I want you to be brave. I want you to find that again. And I want you to go to somebody else. I want you to keep going until somebody gets you. And like I said, Anne and I were both really great people to go to. I would love to talk to any one of you and help you find the resources you need. Or, maybe even parents, if you're not sure how to talk to your children, reach out to Anne or I. We can both help, because that's really important to have the parent support or the guardianship, whoever's caring for the teen or the child, and really work this now before the teen becomes a teen mom, or becomes, oh man, the number of different things that can happen from not having the trauma treated. And I mean, there are a lot of bad things that I could think of, and I'm really glad that that we're doing this and that we're bringing awareness. And
right. And I'm so glad that you have gone through the process of healing that you've gone through, because being in the broken state is hard to help people in that state.
It is really hard to help because you feel like you can't see a way out. And so I know, Anne, that you've also done a lot of healing. And so it is really beneficial to go and maybe not even go to, but you can see any of our people that are feeling hopeless. You can see there is a way out.
Right.
And you can have a really happy and healthy and fulfilling life after this event.
Right.
And after you share, you do get to overcome it. And actually eventually it just becomes a part of your past. And that's why our rearview mirrors are so much smaller than our windshields.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And this is such a huge message to tell our teens or whomever is watching, that you are not your circumstances.
Bingo. You are not your circumstances. You are so much more than your circumstances, no matter what they are.
Exactly. And you are valuable. You're valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, I say this all the time, and I would love to share it with everybody watching, parents, teens, and everybody in between. You are equally as valuable to Bill Gates, to Gandhi, to anybody else. And I know those are really significant people, but I want you to understand your heart beats just like theirs does, and your blood bleeds red just like theirs does, and you were one of those miracle sperms that were born just like anybody else walking this earth. You are equally as valuable to anyone else. You just have to believe in you.
That is so true. I did this demonstration, and I like to do it with my girls when I have them in group. And I would show them, or even tell them if I don't have it on me. Imagine that I have a crisp $100 bill, and
Yep.
I'm like, I'm holding that up. Who wants it? And all their hands will go up, and they're so excited. And I said, okay. All right, imagine that I crumble this $100 bill up and I stomp on it and I put it in the mud and I put it in the dirt, and then I pick it up. Who wants it?
They still want it.
A lot of them still want it, right? But there are some who are like, I don't want that. That's dirty. And then I watch the exchange between the girls, and they would say, girl, what's wrong with you? That's still $100, stuff like that. And so I tell them, no matter what your circumstances have been, no matter what life has dealt you, you are still valuable. Just
right.
like this $100 bill, I can still get the same amount of products that I would have gotten if it was, just crisp. And so you are still valuable, and you're not your circumstances. You're still important. I tell my girls that you are precious, more than diamond. You are precious. And so, it's good that we can encourage people in a way that they are open to receiving these stories and being a safe place for our young people.
Yes. And I want to remind anybody watching this that you are worthy and valuable and equally as deserving of love and being treated right as any other person on this planet. And Anne, I do the same exercise. I do it with a $20 bill,
Yes.
Which is great. And one of the things that I really want to touch on, and this is a book that I'm writing, and it's called The Living, Breathing Kintsu Kurry. And so oftentimes after we've been damaged, we feel like we're less. And so Kintsu Kurry, you can look this up, is a Japanese art form where it's a piece of pottery that has been broken, and they put it back together with silver or gold. And the concept is this pottery, having been broken, is now more beautiful.
Wow.
Because it was broken. And so I think that anyone out there who has had some trauma or has been damaged, I don't want you to look at yourself as broken. I want you to look at yourself as having been more beautiful because of the lessons you've learned and the strength you've gained through this event. Because really, there's gratitude to be had, because now guess what? If you've been through something, you can relate to someone. And like I said before, having somebody that can understand you and relate to your situation is so valuable. It's so valuable.
And as I think about the audience, and for those of you who are still with us, please send us a comment, and share this, because it could make the difference in somebody's life. It could make the difference if somebody shares their trauma story or not. And as I think about it, I think about, oh my goodness, your trauma might not be sexual abuse.
It might not be.
It might not have been that. It might be something else. But nevertheless, it doesn't make it less valuable, or it doesn't make it less valid, I should say. That's your trauma, and that's your trauma story. And you need to be heard. You need to be seen, and you need to get the help and the support that you need to get through this. And I'm so glad that you all have taken time to join us. Again, I'm talking to Tineka Kerby from Utah. And Tineka is a coach. She's a speaker. She's a author. And she is sharing her story, her trauma story of being sexually abused at the age of 3 years old, and how she survived, and she's thriving. Right now, her video has frozen. But I'm just delighted that you all took the time to join us. And again, please put hashtag replay if you're catching us on the replay. And even if you're catching us on the replay, drop us a comment and share this with somebody who you might make the difference in their life. Thank you. It keeps freezing, but we just keep it moving. And it looks like her video has frozen again. But I just appreciate you all, again, taking time to listen to this. Take time to listen to your children and validate them and share with them. And if you are a youth leader, take time to listen to your young people too, and listen to what they're not saying, and ask the right questions so that you can help them navigate this, because this is not something that children or anyone should go through alone. Okay. Again, I'm just waiting for Tineka to come back in. Her video has frozen, and you are back.
I don't know what is going on. It might be my phone.
And that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, you got plenty to say.
But I definitely wanted to say, if you're watching this and you're catching it on the replay, comment in the bottom replay, and I will, and I'm sure Anne will too, try to come back and answer any questions you might have for things we didn't cover.
Right. And if you want to comment and you don't want it public, just inbox either of us. And I'm going to drop Tineka's connection in the message in the comment box also. So Tineka, we'll go ahead and close out if you're still there. And I know that there's just a couple of things that you want to share as we close. Again, you're watching Teen Talk Live with Ann Dillard. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. My primary area of focus is working with teens, and I'm still accepting clients primarily from Minnesota because that's where I'm still licensed, and working on my Georgia licensure right now. So I invite you to inquire. Send me an inbox, and again, comment and share. Okay, so I'm going to give you a chance to wrap up with your closing comments, and then we can just close out.
Okay, thank you, because this keeps freezing. Hopefully it won't now. I've connected to a different Wi-Fi, so that should help. Okay. So anyone out there that is been in a sexual abuse situation, really be aware of what your behaviors are, and if it's a parent, be aware of your child's behaviors. Look a little bit more into it. Be really careful of, who they're around and how they're behaving. And then, be open and compassionate to hearing them and helping them get the help they might need. And like I said, you need to really take care of this now before it becomes a much bigger, worse problem later. Reach out to Anne or I, and, just don't label yourself as a victim. You're not a survivor. You're not your circumstances. You're so much more than that. You're a warrior. If you've made it through it and you're still smiling, you're still breathing today, you're not just a survivor, you're a warrior. Because there are better
I love that.
Yeah, we're not just surviving, we're thriving.
That's right. That's right. And I point out to people that behaviors are always communicating something.
Yes. Something for the parents. When your teen is screaming out or lashing out, they're usually screaming out for help. They're usually screaming out because they need something that's not being met. Really take a minute to dig deep with them. Take a minute to turn your phone off, all electronics off, sit down, have a heart-to-heart, go for a drive, go for a walk. Get inside and figure out what's going on. I think that this, not only from a sexual trauma standpoint, but this will significantly reduce the number of suicides we have. Remind your children that they're valuable and they're worthy and deserving of being loved, and that they add value to your life. That's something really important. And Anne, thank you so much for having me on. It was such a pleasure to be on here with you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being so generous with your story. I really appreciate it. And I know that it will bless so many people. And hopefully we'll get some people who will find the courage and the strength in your courage and your strength. And I really appreciate you, Tineka, for being here. Thanks a million.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Anne. I look forward to talking with you again soon. And anybody that wants to reach out, come to me. If it's parents that need help taking the story from their kids, or if it's a teen that needs help having somebody hear them, PM me, PM Anne. One of us will definitely be here for you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, folks, for joining us again. This is Ann Dillard with Tineka Kerby from Utah. on Teen Talk Live, where she shared her story of sexual assault and overcoming and warrioring through childhood trauma. And join us for Teen Talk Live, where we are transforming the lives and minds of teens and those who love them. Thank you for joining us. Please share, and see you next time.